Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
What a haunting song, isn't it? Like it inspires me and it makes me melancholy at the same time, and I think that's because the longer I am on the planet, the more I realize that it's true that everything is in a constant state of change. And that's beautiful because we're all evolving, and we know that. And at the same time, it touches on that process of having to let go of that which has been. And you know, while we live in a world, certainly it seems to me now more than ever, where changes are happening at an astronomical rate outside and around us, we must remember that these are actually changes taking place inside of us, and that those changes are the result of shifts that are taking place in our mind, in our consciousness, that are affecting the filters out of which we experience reality. For me, that begins with the process of really looking at how I define the things in my world that make up my world, and being willing, when the need be, to look at the definitions and let them change. And since we're in February, notably the month of love, I thought this morning it would be good to take a look at how love perhaps is changing, certainly has changed in my life in terms of my definition and understanding, and maybe you'll see that some of it is true for your life as well. So, and I want to make the comment that it may seem to you like what I'm going to share this morning is primarily revolving around romantic relationships and people who are in search of romantic relationships, which I realize doesn't involve anyone in the room this morning, but but actually, it's beyond that. It's well beyond that, because it's really talking about the dynamic of any loving relationship. So I ask you to bear with me and look beyond the idea that it might just be relative to people who are looking for love or romance, and realize that it's really relative to all of us. I'm going to date myself just a little bit here by sharing the lyric to a song that's written by one of my absolute favorite composers. You might not know who he is, but he's a legend. His name is Cole Porter. And yeah, some of you remember Cole Porter. He's not on the planet any longer, but he wrote a song in 1929 called What Is This Thing Called Love? Now, I have great respect for Cole Porter, so though some of the way I'm going to deliver this is tongue-in-cheek, realize that I certainly respect what he's saying. It's just that while I still have a passion for love songs that involve victimization and desperation, I can't sing them or experience them with quite the same level of commitment that I used to. Yeah, it's just the way it goes. So here we go. I was a humdrum person leading a life apart when love flew through my window wide and quickened my humdrum heart. Love flew in through my window. I was so happy then, but after love had stayed a while, love flew out again. What is this thing called love, this funny thing called love? Just who can solve its mystery? Why should it make a fool of me? I saw you there one wonderful day. You took my heart and threw it away. That's why I asked the Lord in heaven above, what is this thing called love? You gave me days of sunshine, gave me nights of cheer. You made my life an enchanted dream till somebody else came near. Somebody else came near you. I felt the winter's chill, and now I sit and wonder night and day, why do I love you still? Now I realize no one can relate to that lyric. I understand. Because none of us have ever fallen head over heels in love before. I'm the only one. Yes, it has happened to me more than once. Infatuation, obsession, and complete loss and lack of reality of any kind. That's because I was brought up in a certain context, and so were you, you know. The context basically boils down to you're half of a person, or you're half of an expression, and you need to go out there. Your objective in life needs to be to find something to fulfill you. And so we birthed what I'm going to call this morning the fallacy of love, and yet it is the foundation still of many, many relationships in this world. And it all begins with this premise: dedicate your life to searching for someone who has an exhilarating, tingling, positive effect on you. Woo! Yeah! Woo! What was that? Okay, that's the first step. So every morning when you get up, that's what you need to be looking for. Look in the eyes of every person that you encounter and see if you get that tingle up your spine. See if you feel like quitting your job and leaving the country or whatever it takes to be in the embrace of this person. Just go for it. I love to talk about this subject. I had Eddie on the phone earlier this week, and he said, "What are you doing?" "I'm writing my sermon on falling in love, and it is so much fun." Okay, second premise: when located, experience a wild attraction for said individual, do outrageous and embarrassing things to be in this person's presence, lose control of yourself if at all possible. That's the objective here. We want to lose control. We want to just become wildly obsessive. And we want to make sure that we are embarrassing ourselves and everyone around us by putting ourselves in precarious positions just to be close to the object of our affection, because it feels so good. It does, doesn't it? Woohoo! It feels good. Everybody wants to be in love for a time. For a time. Okay, here's an important one. Abandon any criteria you have for a potential partner. Yes, if any behavior from the other person makes you uncomfortable or is against your principles, promptly ignore it. I didn't see that. I didn't feel that. I just love you. I just love you. And I didn't see anything here that would give me reason not to love you. You have to become blind. Love is blind, right? Oh, you know, it's a miracle I'm still on the planet after accepting all this garbage for so many years. Not to be judgmental in any way. All right, when your ignorance reaches a distressful level, reveal your criteria, but only after it has been sufficiently violated. The existence of criteria must come as a complete surprise to the object of your affection. I don't have any criteria. I just love you. That's all. I just love you. And then, criteria you're not willing to acknowledge or share with another is violated, but you don't want to talk about it. And it happens again, and you don't want to talk about it. And it happens again, and you don't want to talk about it. And pretty soon it has to reach a truly distressful level. Then you reveal it. By the way, I have criteria. I have expectations. Let me share them with you, and we'll then continue in this lovely little state of relationship. All right, the revelation of your criteria will send your lover running. Been there? Either way, giver or recipient. This is good, as it will substantiate your well-founded belief that you are unworthy of the true love of another person. Isn't that what this has all been about from the very beginning, that we were raised to think we weren't worthy of anything, most especially the true love of another person? And so we have to set up a cycle where we repeat this over and over and over again, which is the final ingredient. Repeat this cycle as often as possible for the duration of your entire existence, ensuring unrealized dreams, separateness, and loneliness in life. There you have it, the fallacy of love. And my friends, this conditioning that we have all received from a very early age lives kind of deeply in the levels of our being, even though we may laugh at it this morning and we think, oh, that's not me. Look again, because the programming is so deep, and we're really taught that these are the ingredients of a fulfilling life. That's what we've been taught. Now, this morning I want to share with you some new definitions, because everything is changing, so perhaps your definition of love is willing to change. Mine certainly has. The reality of love is how I'm titling this. And it begins with this. Until you know how to experience genuine peace and happiness on your own, you cannot possibly experience them in a relationship with someone else. I mean, really, give me a break. If you haven't mastered an art, how in the world are you going to experience it in relationship with another person? It's because part of your secret criteria is that you want them to do it. Well, nobody can do this for another person. It just isn't possible. Second, recognize that your purpose is to see the face of God in everyone. Be intent on experiencing this presence in every person. If you're out there looking for the tingle, you're going to miss everybody that, for whatever reason, isn't providing you the tingle. And quite frankly, the tingle is based primarily on one specific ingredient, and that is sexual attraction. Now, I got nothing against sexual attraction or expression. I'm just saying, do you really want to found the relationships of your life on that one sole factor? And when you have it, you think you've got love. No, it is not the case, my friends. Next, recognize that everyone in your life is both a teacher and a benefactor. Now, this includes the people that you love and you enjoy being around. And as you know, if you've been here very long, it also includes the people who you find foul, the people who you find evil. And they're out there, aren't they? We all know that. And boy, when you find an evil one, the first thing you want to do is get the hell out of town. But what you really need to recognize is, and we just had this wonderful evening last night with Byron Katie. I don't know how many of you were here, but it was a spectacular night. And you know, part of her teaching is that whatever you're experiencing in the field of relationships outside of you is actually taking place inside of you. It's a reflection of an internal dynamic that's going on between your own two ears. And so when we realize that the people or the characters in our life drama are reflecting aspects of ourselves, we stop blaming people out here, and instead we start realizing that the people that irritate us are making us aware of unacknowledged aspects or perceived shortcomings within our own internal dynamic. And that's the beginning of being able to liberate ourselves. Next, cultivate friendship, the foundation of all relationship. Friendship. What a novel idea, to fall in friend before you fall in love. And I'm going to be very personal with you and honest with you this morning. I gave up dating years ago. People look at me like I have some kind of a health challenge when I say that. Why would you give up dating? And the reason I gave it up is because I really got to the place of believing that it was, and pardon the cynic in me here this morning, I'm being really honest, but I got into realizing that it was all a game of courtship. And the element of friendship was never to be found within it. It wasn't about getting to know somebody and getting to spend time with them over a period of days, weeks, months, or even years. It was about just, I really don't know who you are, but I'm getting the buzz, I'm getting the thrill, I'm getting the tingle, so let's go for it. And I can't play that way anymore. I can't play that way anymore. Now, for me, it has to be about building relationships founded on friendship, mutual admiration. If anything else becomes of it beyond that, so be it. But the objective is not to get a high, not to experience some kind of fulfillment of an addiction from something outside of me. It's to realize all that I need exists within me, and I simply want to have the opportunity to share that in friendship with other people. And then let the universe have its way with every relationship in my life. And to stop being so driven by this thought that I have. And people say, oh, you still don't have anybody in your life? And I say, my God, I've got hundreds of people in my life, more than I've ever had. Oh, but you don't have that certain special someone. Well, you know what? My experience with a certain special someone hasn't been all that delightful. So, call me what you will. Next, we go to developing agenda-free rapport. And you've heard me talk about this before. Whenever I do a talk on relationships, I talk about becoming involved in relationships that are free of agenda, free of expectation. What I mean by that is typically, and I often say that most relationships are the equivalent of two sets of expectations coming together to live in complete frustration. You know, even though I'm not going to tell you I have expectations, I do have expectations, and I expect you to meet them whether or not I tell you they exist. So what I'm talking about is coming together not because you're expecting something from somebody else, or because you have an agenda. You're coming together, hey, just because you want to hang out. Isn't that a nice idea, a novel idea? I just like being in your company. I don't care whether you fulfill my desires and my wishes and my commands or not. I just want to be in this place. And I only want individuals to be in my company that are there because it's where they want to be, not because they feel obligated or they feel some kind of responsibility to be there. Agenda-free rapport. Next, observe without judgment your attachments and reactions. Recognize the other person as a mirror of yourself. Check in with yourself. When you feel a sudden knee-jerk reaction or you are inclined to want to defend yourself, realize that these responses and reactions don't have anything to do with the cast of characters outside of you. They've got to do with trying to draw your attention into your own internal dynamics. And finally, this is an important one. Say to yourself what you wish to hear from another. So just humor me this morning and go into your mind and say, what would be the ideal thing I would like for my lover to say to me? Well, I just think you're the greatest person in the world. I just love being in your company. I think you're talented. I think you're brilliant. I'm so comfortable with you. Now, realize that until you can say those kinds of things to yourself, you're never really going to believe them when somebody else says them to you. Because you yourself don't believe it half the time. So start developing a romance, if you will, with yourself. Start developing an appreciation for who you are. I'm not going to burden you this morning with the details that I have burdened you with many times before. The great revelation I had back in the 1990s when I went through my own, actually it was a divorce, it was a separation, divorce, and then courtship with the same person and then remarriage. So a lot of you don't know, I've been married twice to the same person. But it's a fact. And I came out of that whole interesting, blessed experience with 4 statements that I would like to share with you this morning. The first thing is this: there is no such thing as another person. I know you're sitting in a room and you're looking around saying we're all separated men and women in separated bodies. But the reality is we're all a part of one energy, one life, one love, which has even now been proven scientifically in quantum physics. There's no such thing as another person. You are never really interacting with another person. You're only interacting with your own perception of that other person and your own beliefs about that person. Next, it's never about another person. How could it be if there is no such thing as another person? Well, it's about him, and it's about her, it's about them, it's about, no, it's not. It's never about another person. It's always about you, and I don't mean that in an egoic sense or a narcissistic sense. It's about you because you are the one that's projecting all of this drama out into your life. So take that finger pointing out here, realize 3 fingers are pointing back at you, and bring it back to yourself gently and lovingly, and then realize it's never about placing blame. If you're looking for the responsible party this morning, let them off the hook because you are the responsible party. Don't blame other people for the situations in your life, and don't even blame yourself because blame is totally a waste of energy. Instead, just take responsibility and realize you're free to change your mind, you're free to change your thoughts, you're free to change your beliefs and ideas anytime you choose. The truth is that when your relationship with yourself is responsible, loving, gentle, and kind, you will reflect the same qualities in your relationships with others. It's all about how you're treating and respecting and loving yourself. You cannot expect others to give you anything more than you are willing to provide and acknowledge for yourself. And finally, you're not an incomplete puzzle. I know we were all told that we're incomplete puzzles and we've got to find the other half of the equation or we're never going to amount to anything. You're not that searching incessantly to find your missing pieces through the expectations you place on other people. You're divine wholeness, and you're here to share from an infinite wellspring that lies within you without any thought of return, just to experience joy. And what that means, my dear Unity on the Bay family, is that the best thing that you can ever tell somebody that you love is this: I don't need you for my happiness. Now, at first, you're going to think, oh, how can I say that I don't need them for my happiness, for my fulfillment, for my satisfaction? But underlying that is this great activity where you let them off the hook because you don't really want to be responsible for another person's happiness or fulfillment. You can't. So though it sounds nice to utter those words back and forth, the reality is this is your responsibility. And the only reason you want anybody in your life to share your love with is so that you can enjoy the experience, so that they can help you to recognize you already have an infinite wellspring of love within you, and your only task is to remind them of the same thing. Now we are free, we are complete, and we are whole individuals, not coming together to make some kind of broken pieces into something holistic. We're there simply for the joy of celebrating the wholeness out of which we have been created from God since before this whole time-space drama began. Take that into your relationships and start living a joyful life. God bless you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.